All right, we're going to move on to the next video here, video number 2, where I want to do an overview of the Allen-Bradley RSLogix Micro Starter Lite. Now, I do have a couple other videos included basically showing how to go about getting a hold of these programs, this program in particular, plus the RSLinx Classic and the RS500 Emulator, which are all free packages. A little bit tricky to get from Rockwell's website, which is not super intuitive. But again, I just want to go over an overview here, an introduction to the software. RSLogix Micro Starter Lite from Rockwell Automation. It's a good choice for beginning PLC programmers. I'm kind of recommending this one because it's free. I know one of the issues you run into is a lot of software is very expensive, can be thousands of dollars. So this software is free, and it's also a decent introduction to Rockwell PLC programming. It is based on an older format, but still can be useful. The programming software, this programming software, the Starter Lite, is for MicroLogix 1000 and 1100 series of PLCs only. It's very similar type software to what you might find on the Allen-Bradley SLIC 500 series of PLCs, if you're familiar with those. I actually, one of the earlier ones that I got started with. The RSLogix Emulate 500 is also a free download. That's separate from the Starter Lite, Micro Starter Lite, but it's also a free download from Rockwell Automation, and it's a PLC simulator that will let you test your ladder logic right on your computer. So if you don't have a MicroLogix PLC, I actually have a MicroLogix 1000 here. But honestly, it's easier for me just to grab the laptop, fire up the emulator, and test code on that. You can start learning ladder logic programming without the need to purchase a PLC, which is a big savings to you. Hopefully one of the reasons you might be taking the class to at least, you didn't have to pay for the software, you didn't need to pay for any hardware. You can download your programs to this simulator and run them as if you were running them on an actual PLC. Like I mentioned before, I do have a couple of short videos that actually explain how to download and install the three pieces of software that you're going to need for this course. The software that you're going to need is the RSLogix Micro Starter Lite, the RSLinx Classic Lite, and RS Emulate 500. And in the previous couple short videos, I go through the process of going about getting those and downloading and also installing them. But before we see how to download and install those packages, let's review what they are and what they'll do for us. Okay, the RSLogix Micro Starter Lite. Um, it this is a comparison. One of the things about Rockwell is they always have to have like 20 different versions of software, which can get very confusing. We're concentrating on the free Micro Starter Lite software, which allows you to do some drag and drop editing, drag and drop data table stuff. You can search, replace. You can do quite a bit. Now there are other ones. There's Micro Starter, which is not free. There's Micro Developer, which I think at work I have that version. That will allow you to program the MicroLogix 1000, 1100s, 1200s, 1400s, 1500s, whereas the Starter Lite only works with the MicroLogix 1000 or 1100. Why we have all these versions, I don't know. RSLogix 500 will do any of the MicroLogix PLCs, plus it will program the SLIC 500 series. I've normally always had RSLogix 500. Now, again, even with RSLogix 500, there's a starter, standard, professional, all with different features available. It's confusing. But again, we're just going to be using the Starter Lite because it's free. And again, um, there's one of the ID number. This comes from their tech support again. MicroStarter Lite only supports the MicroLogix 1000 and 1100. which really doesn't matter a lot since we're going to be using the emulator. We're just going to emulate a MicroLogix 1000 through the emulator, so we'll be good. Um, Now you can also use RSLogix. Oh yeah, and it will work with RSLogix Emulate 500. That's what we're going to do. Um, Again, this Micro Starter Lite is the only software that we're going to need to create ladder logic programs. All right, so this is kind of generally what it looks like when you first open it up. You're going to have a menu bar up here at the top. You got the file, view, comms, so on. It's basically going to be blank when you first open it. Um, Now I just want to jump over to RSLinx Classic Lite real quick, but before I do, I just will show some of the menus in the Starter Lite software. All right, so here's the RSLogix Micro Starter Lite again. There's the RSLogix Micro Starter Lite. You got the file menu where you can come in here, you can create a new program. For the most part, we're going to be just dealing with the MicroLogix 1000 for our testing. The driver that we're going to be concentrating on is the emulate driver, but we'll have to set that up through our RSLinx Classic, which is another software package. You can view communications, you can go, bring up your system's comms. I've already got this one set up to look at the MicroLogix 1000 through the emulator and so on. I can open, um, well, I guess I don't have a program there to look at, but we'll get into this a little bit more as we start going through, and I can show you some of the functions, some of the programming language. We'll get a lot more into detail with this as we move through the course. All right, so yeah, I just want to jump over to the RSLinx Classic Lite and explain that for a second. This is what provides the connectivity between RSLogix Micro Lite software and the MicroLogix PLC or Emulate software. So the RSLogix Micro Lite lets you create the ladder logic, lets you create the programs that will control, you got your inputs and outputs, but you need the RSLinx Classic Lite to provide that connection to the PLC. So it requires those two packages in order to get to the emulator or to a real PLC. So we need RSLinx Classic Lite to actually be able to download our programs into the simulator software. So when you have this here, RSLinx Classic Lite, in our case, we're going to have it set up for this emulator driver, and then we're going to just be using a MicroLogix 1000 under that, and I will show you that here in a second. But I want to talk about this third software real quick, which is RSLogix Emulate 500. And this would be the software that allows a simulation of downloading and running PLC programs. You download to it just like you would a PLC. It's going to simulate it. And we're only going to really simulate, I think we're going to be simulating just the 1000 and not so much the 1100 series. All right, and next we're going to have the video of how to download and then how to install. All right, and then we're going to show, after we've downloaded it, now we're going to show how to install it. And I've got another little video here explaining how to go about installing the software.